If you're new to Deception Bites, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Okay guys, it is Sunday, October 13th, and it is 10:19 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, let's get right into it. But first, I want to thank two people. I want to thank my coffee donors, Lisa, thank you very much, and Elizabeth Bennett, and she noted from Ursa and Kitties. Well, I'm not sure who Ursa is, but maybe Ursa's the dogs and the cats. I don't know. But anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate it so much. It makes this possible, and it's very, very much appreciated and needed. So let's get right into the news. Oh, I just realized I didn't clean my glasses before this, but I'm not going to stop now. So I'm just going to have dirty glasses. All right. Okay, this is from the Gateway Pundit. And let's take a look at this. It says, confirmed, Ilhan Omar and lover Tim Mynett were seen at the Minnesota Trump riots. Photos and video, facial recognition confirmation, update. So I'm sure you guys have heard this. It's been all over everywhere. Rumors of this. It certainly hasn't been in the mainstream news, of course, and it never will be. But you know, it's getting good mileage out of the alt media and on Twitter, but this is the first time that I have seen something that I could kind of hang my hat on, because some of them, you don't know if they are, really reporting the truth or not, or just planting things out there to see if the alt media will pick up on it so that they can fault us for that. So when Gateway Pundit grabbed this story, I thought, okay, I'll need to bring that because it's now been confirmed. Okay, so it says, hang on here. It says we have more photo evidence coming in the next hour. Please check back. Now, this is longer than an hour, so hopefully it's there now. And it says riots of left-wing radicals broke out in Minneapolis on Thursday night following President Trump's record-setting rally in the Target Center. I'm sure you guys have heard about that. Antifa was there. And so was Ilhan Omar and her new beau, Tim Mynett. Of course, that is the man that she was having an affair with that caused her husband to file for divorce as well. His wife looks mysteriously like a woman that was killed in the same area as they lived and looks identical to his wife. Makes me kind of wonder. And I brought that story quite a while ago now, but it makes me wonder, did somebody have a hit out on Tim Miner's wife? Because, well, it would be very convenient for Ilhan Omar, because then her little boy toy wouldn't have obligations like, child support or what do they call that? What do they call that when you have to pay your wife? Oh, it's right there at the tip of my tongue, and I hate that when I can't remember a word like that, because it's a word that I've used a lot. So frustrating. I can't remember it. All right. So far-left protesters reportedly made a bonfire with dozens of Make America Great Again hats stolen off the heads of people who attended Thursday night's Trump rally in Minnesota. Blaze correspondent Elijah Schaefer reported that there were approximately 40 hats stolen and burned. In the chaos and confusion, citizen journalists accidentally caught Minnesota Representative Ilhan Omar and her boyfriend Tim Mynett in the crowd. And these are the pictures. Of course, this is Tim Mynett, and he's got, a mask on, just like Antifa wears, because they don't want anybody, they're cowards. They don't want to show their face. So this is Tim Mynett there. Definitely him. And here is Ilhan Omar. And she's got her little, her head thing on and a mask on, but that is definitely Ilhan Omar. So isn't that lovely that they just kind of donned the black hats and so forth, and they were there probably inciting people to riot. I would imagine. Why else would they be there? Why else would they be participating in those riots? Can you imagine a member of Congress participating in a riot against the duly elected president of the United States? Can you imagine? That's what we've got. That's what we've got from this group of Democrats. Exactly that. It says, wow, have you seen this video? Is that Ilhan Omar and her married boyfriend outside the Trump rally, Minnesota, protesting last night? What do you think? Oh, yes. Definitely. And they're saying now that it has been confirmed by facial recognition. Now, I don't know if they ran that through some software or whatever, but that is the Gateway Pundit saying that it has been verified through the facial recognition. So I would imagine that they've got it verified beyond a reasonable doubt, or they wouldn't be printing this, I wouldn't think. And it says, via Lady Red Wave and Imam of Peace has more photos and video. And this is Imam of Peace. Hello, Ilhan, Minnesota. Since when did you wear a burqa? What were you doing with Antifa last night in the violent riots against President Donald Trump's speech? Why would this hijab cover her face like that? Weird. And then he put it to the notice of Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Donald J. Trump Jr., and Charlie Kirk. So there's no question that it was her there. I mean, it's definitely her. And then again, from this Imam of Peace, please tell us if this was or wasn't you at Ilhan. And the video is here. Let's see. I don't know if, well, I guess this is the link to the video. I don't know how long it is, but use the language. Trying to find where Ilhan Omar is in this. I don't know, this is very long, and I don't want to go through it all just to find Ilhan Omar. What I'll do is on my own time when I'm not recording, I'll go through this and I'll try to get the exact mark where she and he are, in view so that I can show that to you, because obviously it would be, this is 13 minutes and 33 seconds long, and I'm not into wasting your time like that. So, all right, let's go back here. Yeah, here. Where was I? I guess I'll click out of here. All right, so that is what the Gateway Pundit is saying. And this, again, from the Imam of Peace, it looks like that guy in front of Ilhan is her lover, Tim Minette. What a coincidence. Same glasses, same nose, same face, same hijab, same Ilhan Omar. And there's no question that that's him. No question. All right. She's going to get him in a pack of trouble. I mean, she already has. He's a married man and he's been cheating on his wife. It doesn't seem to bother Ilhan at all. In fact, I believe, personally, this is my opinion, I believe that she is probably the one that put a hit out on his wife, and this poor innocent woman that looks identical to her was killed instead. She was killed right near the home of Tim and his wife, and this woman, they've never solved it. There was no reason for anybody to kill her. She was well liked, and it just doesn't make sense. Well, I happen to believe, firmly believe, that Ilhan probably put a hit out on the wife, because then she thought, oh, and then he'll be all mine. Because it's not like she's going to worry about a little thing like morality. So anyway, and it says here is a clearer picture, and that is Tim, my net. It says, we will post definitive proof of Ilhan's attendance at the rally shortly through facial recognition software. Update, we have much more information. It will be interesting to see what Ilhan says in the next 24 hours. Stay tuned. Well, you don't really think that she's going to, and it says that it's now been confirmed by facial recognition, so I would assume that they have put this through software, and they're saying, well, it'll be interesting to see what she has to say, but if they're waiting for her to say, yeah, that was me, they're going to be waiting a very, very long time. She lies, she's good at it. So there you go. Now, let's go back here and see what else we can get into, because there's plenty. Now, let's look at this. I think you'll find this hard to believe, and yet it's true. This is by the Washington Examiner. Some 2020 Democrats think it should be legal to knowingly give someone HIV. Think about that. Think about that. Let's just say you have HIV and you know that if you sleep with somebody and they get it, that's a death sentence for them. And that should be legal? Meaning that you can just sleep with someone and not tell them that you are HIV positive? And that should be legal? And yet they track you if you have other things like typhoid or typhus or things like that. They keep very, very careful control over. They keep very careful control over who has things such as Rocky Mountain spotted fever. I only know that because I once had it. These things are tracked, but not HIV? No. You could be positive and you could sleep with 100 people, 200 people, 1,000 people and not have to tell them. And knowingly giving them someone HIV, well, they think it should be legal. Can you imagine that? The Democrats, they're certainly not for the American people. They're not. They would not be making rules like this. They would not be trying to thwart anything that Donald Trump does about a border wall or anything else he tries to do to limit this unbridled immigration. It's not that he hates immigrants. He hates the immigrants that are not coming legally into the country because they're not properly vetted. But, you know, the Democrats can't seem to get that through their head. Anyway, so, yeah, I found this a little bit. Now, this is a couple days old. It was from October 11th, but still. It says, should it be a crime to knowingly expose someone to HIV without disclosing it? Most sane people would say yes, but a widely planned Vox article published this week said that state laws making it a crime to not disclose your HIV status have only increased stigma and abuse. Oh. And apparently many 2020 Democrats agree with this ludicrous, insane point of view. Yeah, well, you know what? If you have leprosy, that's increased stigma and abuse as well. But, you know, I mean, yeah, leprosy is a thing. I really thought that the world had rid itself of leprosy. Apparently not. And it is now being seen on U.S. soil, which is very interesting. But, yeah, I mean, so because you don't want to insult somebody or give them a stigma, then it's okay for them to use their, genitals as a weapon of mass destruction? Seriously, that's what they're doing. Shouldn't that be called sexual terrorism? When you think about it, isn't it? I think it is. David Rubin, I need to give Vox more credit. It manages to always get worse than it is. That's a real skill. And it says here, this Vox I guess I don't know if it's from Twitter or where it's from, but it says 26 states impose criminal penalties for knowingly exposing someone to HIV. But these laws make people with the virus vulnerable to stigma and abuse. So that means that they should be allowed to sleep with someone and not tell that person and be able to transmit the disease to another innocent person. That, my friends, is sexual terrorism. It is. So be careful, I guess. I mean, I don't have to worry about that, but I'm single and I am not somebody that, sleeps with, people willy-nilly. So anyway, but there are sexually active adults that could be at risk here. Because you don't know. You don't know. And you know what? Don't think it's just gay sex, because it's not. It's not. There are women that have gotten it from, men that swing both ways, and they can pass it on to another lover just as easily. I can't even believe this. I can't believe it. That their rights, why do their rights supersede everybody else's? Why is that? So they've got a communicable disease, but their rights trump everybody else's? How does that work? Really? How does that work? This is a scary thing. This makes sense to them. This makes sense to the Democrats. That should scare the you-know-what out of you. Really. So yeah, they think it should be legal. You're HIV positive. You can pass that on very easily. And yet, oh well, we don't want that person to feel bad that they've got HIV. We don't want them to feel bad. So yeah, they don't have to tell anybody that they have it, even if they sleep with 10,000 people. It's the luck of the draw, man. We don't want them to feel bad about it. I think it should be tattooed on their penis. I'm sorry. Okay, that's going a little bit too far. But really, I do believe that if you pass that on to someone and you have not disclosed to them that you are HIV positive and you pass it on to somebody who gets it, I think you should be liable to be sued 10 ways from Sunday. Anyway. So let's look at this. The common theme at Thursday night's CNN town hall focused on gay and transgender issues, sponsored by the Human Rights Campaign. Host Anderson Cooper, for example, called laws criminalizing HIV non-disclosure antiquated and based on old science. Presidential contender Pete Buttigieg agreed, saying it's not fair and it needs to change. And both on the CNN stage and in her new LGBT issues platform, Senator Elizabeth Warren has endorsed decriminalizing HIV transmission as well. Senator Cory Booker has also signed on to this radicalism, explicitly agreeing that laws requiring disclosure of HIV status to sexual partners are archaic and have no scientific basis, calling for their complete repeal. But what if that person has something else that's communicable? I mean, my stepfather, he had horrific pneumonia. I mean, his lungs were bleeding. He was coughing up blood. He probably would not have lived had he not had immediate intervention. But, they put him, because he had pneumonia, which I didn't even know you could catch pneumonia from another person, but apparently you can. So they, put him into a room, and you had to first go into one room, and then you had to gown up and put gloves and a gown on, and everything had to be covered. Your mouth had to be covered, everything. And then you went into his room. But all the doctors, all the nurses would have to stop and gown up. Like when we visited him, we had to gown up and go in. Now,
I could say, oh, but that's hurting his feelings. That's not right. He feels segregated and isolated. And, people are afraid of him now because they know he's got, something that they could catch. I don't think he should be put in isolation. Why don't you put him in a room with other people so he's not so lonely? Now, everybody would say that's ridiculous, right? Well, isn't it the same thing? It is. So anyway, unbelievable. So this by the Washington Examiner. Pete Buttigieg says criminal penalties for not informing a sexual partner that you are HIV positive are unfair and need to change. The argument is that if the virus is undetectable, it is untransmittable. Well, is that true? I don't know. That would take a doctor to answer. But I don't think Pete Buttigieg is probably, able to give his opinion on that. Because, first of all, I don't think he can think through a proper opinion on anything. Excuse me. So, sorry, I was looking for a drink here. I've got my kombucha. Love this stuff. I know it's rude drinking in front of you, but it's better than coughing in front of you. All right. Now, says, let's be frank. This is just completely insane. And talk about not science-based. Of course, no one should get sent to jail for accidentally transmitting the HIV virus if they didn't know. And that's true. There's probably people that are HIV positive that really don't know. And if they pass that on, it is extremely unfortunate, but they didn't do anything criminal. It's very unfortunate, but so says, of course, no one should get sent to jail for accidentally transmitting the HIV virus if they didn't know, but to knowingly conceal that you have the virus is to put another person at risk. And I'm sorry, I just, out of the corner of my eye, saw my cat, Sammy, up on top of my china cabinet, where there are many things that could come tumbling to the ground and smash. I think he sees a spider up in the corner. That's what I think he sees. So anyway, if you hear a crash, that's what it is. Now, what happened to Democrats being big on consent? If you fail to tell a sexual partner that you have HIV, you are stripping them of their ability to make an informed decision to consent. Essentially, this is sexual assault, and Democrats want to make it legal. I don't know if you'd call it sexual assault. I think it's sexual terrorism, really, because you are, my gosh, I wish you could see this cat. He is up on the very top of my china cabinet, which is very tall, and he's got both paws up like this, and he's stretched his full length with two paws up on the roof. It's bizarre. Completely bizarre. Maybe he doesn't like us talking about HIV. I don't know. Sammy. Oh, I hope I don't have to stage a cat intervention. All right, anyway. Think about it from your own perspective. Would you want it to be legal for your sexual partner to hide the fact that they're HIV positive from you? No person has the right to knowingly put others in jeopardy or endanger their health. That's right, because by doing that, you're saying that, okay, the person that is HIV positive, their rights and whatever override everybody else's. And that is just ludicrous. So think about it. Okay, we just read that. Democrats like Buttigieg argue, though, that due to advances in medical terminology and HIV treatment, it's possible for someone to have HIV but not be contagious. This is true in some cases, and it's a wonderful advancement, but it still doesn't justify the repeal of disclosure laws. Not even close. For one, having an undetectable viral load and therefore not being contagious isn't a permanent status. It can fluctuate. So while yes, tests might show that an HIV positive person is not contagious at that moment, that can always change, leaving enough risk that to warrant mandatory disclosure. And I completely agree. And isn't that part of just being a decent human being? That if you have some sexually transmitted disease, whether it's HIV or something else, that you let your partner know. I would think that would be, but there's an awful lot of people out there that aren't decent human beings. I, for one, would sure as hell want to know if a sexual partner was HIV, whether they think they're contagious or not. And if they're really undetectable and therefore not dangerous, then there's little harm in them having to explain that to a sexual partner. That's right. And then the partner can decide whether they want to take that risk or not. Plus, why repeal the law for all the people who aren't undetectable? This is the part of the Democrats' plan that makes the least sense. Well, no part of any Democrat plan makes sense, if you ask me. Not any recent one, anyway. They've gone completely overboard. It's literally, it's as if they're trying to make themselves obsolete, really. Anyway, let me see. There's no universe where it should be legal for someone to know they have HIV, know that they're contagious, and not have to disclose that to a potential sexual partner. Democrats may be endorsing this irresponsible decriminalization in an attempt to pander to woke gay and transgender activists, yet in reality, it's mostly the gay community that these laws protect in the first place. Putting gay lives at risk appears to be woke now, but it's sure as hell not progressive in any meaningful sense of the word. So I would tend to agree with that. I think that even to consider such a thing is outrageous, completely outrageous. These people don't care who they hurt or what, as long as they're pandering to the people that they think they need to pander to, they're going to do it because they want power. And that's all. They don't care about American citizens. They don't care about, what about the health of everyone else that's not HIV positive? They don't care about that. Excuse me. So let's go back, because I do want to get covering, and I'm having problems with my voice again. And actually, I have been having problems for the last couple days. You've probably noticed. I do have a candy here. When push comes to shove, if it gets really bad, I hate to be sucking on a candy when I'm talking to you guys because it's rude. Anyway, let's go here. This should interest all of us, because I think we all would like to know, not just from a curiosity standpoint, but I think we need to be informed. Trump to release the names of sexual predators in Congress. Now, they are probably, soiling their depends about right now. Seriously. Because Trump has already told us that there's a lot of people in, it was either Trump or Q, I can't remember now, but one of them said that, there are a bunch of people in Congress that have paid other people off. They've paid out money to pay off their victims. And where's it come from? Taxpayers' money. So, yeah, we do have a right to know. That's our money being paid to victims to shut them up. How is that fair? And the American people have a right to know. If you have somebody in Congress that's a sexual predator, I think people have the right to know that. Elder Patriot, it's almost hard to believe that members of Congress had the chutzpah to establish a secret fund paid for by taxpayers to silence the victims of their unwanted sexual demands, but they did, once again proving their complete disregard for the people that pay their salaries. And the amount of money paid to silence their victims over the past 2 decades is staggering. $17.25 million were spent to hide the sexual peccadillos, including rape, in 264 reported incidents, how many more attacks went unreported? Payments averaged $65,306 per assault. That's fairly significant hush money, but it gets worse. In 1 year, the average payment was just under $400,000. That was the average. The average had to have been skewed by 1 or 2 massive payouts, considering the total payout for the 50 settlements is the 5 years prior to that year was $382,000. Now, journalist Trey Yingst has tweeted that President Trump wants the names of these predators to be made public. There are at least 2 good reasons that Trump would want their names to be made public. First, as we have learned from the establishment's attack on Roy Moore and their stated intent to block him from being seated if the voters of Alabama are to elect him, they are blowing smoke because the Supreme Court has ruled that as long as the voters are aware of the allegation ahead of time, then it is fair to consider that they have taken the alleged behavior into account when they cast their votes. That was the case with D.C. Mayor Marion Barry, who was reelected after being found in a hotel room smoking crack cocaine while enjoying the company of a prostitute. In fact, a plaque honoring Barry is currently being erected in Washington. The High Court's ruling also opens the door to what happens when the truth is deliberately kept from voters in these instances and they do not have an opportunity to factor the aberrant behavior into their decision. Remember, the congressional violators have admitted their guilt or been found guilty despite their contentions otherwise. Roy Moore has been afforded nowhere near the same consideration. Then there's the fact that if any one of the accused was convicted of rape, they would not be eligible to vote, let alone occupy a seat in the Capitol. Make no mistake that an examination of the annual and average settlements shows such a disparate level of payment that at least some of the attacks must have been pretty egregious. Take 2002, for example, the annual payout was just under $4 million to settle 10 cases. The year before, the average payout was just over $17,000. Whatever the offenses were in 2002 to warrant a 2,200% increase in payout over the previous year had to be serious. Very serious. This leaves anyone with knowledge of the offenders and their offenses holding a hammer over the heads of legislators in order to guarantee their votes. And that is completely true. Like, first of all, the people that have voted them into office need to know that this is the conduct of this person, because otherwise they'll continue to vote for them not knowing. And would you or I be afforded that luxury of not having anybody know about our so-called indiscretions? Well, would we? I mean, if we had something that was so awful that we did that it would take, $1 million to pay off the victim, don't you think people would have a right to know that? I mean, people at your job, people, they would have a right to know that. Especially if you were in any sort of position of power, authority, or maybe a teacher. Yeah, I think everybody would want to know that. And especially a politician, because that means that you're more open to bribes, because somebody could say, well, you know what, you do this and I won't tell about such and such. That's how it works in Hollywood too, but in DC. All right, let's go back now and get to the next one. And you've probably heard this because this is a little old by now. When was this written? October 11th, so it's not that old. It just seems old because I've been meaning to get it out to you. Anyway, Trump announces that Acting Secretary of Homeland Security Kevin McAleenan is out after 6 months. So what happened there? Kevin McAleenan, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. The acting secretary for the Department of Homeland Security is out as the temporary chief of the department. McCallinan, 48, is the fourth acting or confirmed secretary to have served atop the 240,000-person department since President Trump took office. Trump announced his exit in a series of tweets Friday night, explaining that he wants to spend more time with his family and go to the private sector. This is Donald Trump's tweet. Kevin McCallinan has done an outstanding job as acting Secretary of Homeland Security. We have worked well together with border crossings being way down. Kevin now, after many years in government, wants to spend more time with his family and go to the private sector. And Donald Trump continues, congratulations, Kevin, on a job well done. I will be announcing the new acting secretary next week. Many wonderful candidates. McCallinan also addressed his departure in a statement, thanking the president for the opportunity to serve the country and outlining the tremendous progress the department has made during his time leading it. And this is from the acting secretary, Kevin McCallinan. I want to thank the president for the opportunity to serve alongside the men and women of the Department of Homeland Security. With his support, over the last 6 months, we have made tremendous progress mitigating the border security and humanitarian crisis we faced this year. And then it just goes on that him wanting to thank the president. Several sources told the Washington Examiner at the time of McCallinan's appointment to the DHS in April that Trump was testing him to see if he would be a good permanent fit and implement his agenda due to his reputation within the department for opposing some of the White House's immigration and border policies. McCallinan's household also, for years, gave solely to Democratic causes, including thousands to Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, federal records show. McCallinan is a lawyer and worked as a career employee at the department's U.S. Custom and Border Protection Agency for the better part of 15 years. He worked in CBP's Office of Field Operations before being promoted in 2014 to the 60,000-person agency's second highest political appointee position as deputy commissioner. McCallinan was named acting CBP commissioner in January 2017. He was officially nominated to be the permanent chief in May 2017 and confirmed 77-19 by the Senate in March 2018. Trump promoted McCallinan in April when then Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen left. During McCallinan's 2 years as the country's top border official, the number of people arriving at the border grew from 16,000 per month to more than 144,000 per month. When he took over at Homeland Security this spring, he and the White House called for additional funding to address the surge. While Trump called for immediate fixes, McCallinan was focused on addressing root causes and coming up with bipartisan supported solutions. Democratic lawmakers complained CBP was not doing enough to care for those being taken into custody. DHS Inspector General reports and media reports affirmed Democrats' claims. Republicans claimed the border crisis was due to loopholes in old laws that were luring migrants. Lawmakers did not pass comprehensive immigration reform, and in late May, Trump threatened to impose tariffs on Mexico if it did not prevent migrants from passing through the country to the United States. Since then, the number of people encountered at the southwest border, which includes asylum seekers, has dropped to less than half the May rate. McCallinan credited himself in a recent interview for this progress, saying it was the result of years of talks with Central American partners. U.S. officials have documented 4 such immigration surges over the past 5 years. All right, so he's out. Don't know the whole story there. If any of you know any more information about this, make sure to leave it in the comments below. I do try to check as many comments as I can. So don't know what the story is there, and it could be just a simple fact of, Trump did not feel that he was up to, taking the job permanently and is looking at other candidates. I don't know. It's hard to say because a lot of times Trump will be gracious and won't say exactly why a person's leaving. And I can understand that. But anyway, if you guys have any additional information on that, let me know. So let's go back and let's get to this. I'm sure you all know this by now. Shep Smith out at Fox. Now, I think probably just about all of us will think that that is good news. He is a rabid anti-Trumper, never Trumper. So it says Shepard Smith, whose newscast on Fox News Channel seemed increasingly an outlier on a network dominated by supporters of President Trump, says he is leaving the network. His last broadcast was Friday. Smith has worked at Fox News Channel since the network started in 1996. Smith says in a statement that he asked the company to let him leave. He gave no reason for the seemingly sudden decision. Well, I will tell you this, and here they're mentioning it as well. When did Bill Barr meet with Rupert Murdoch, who is the owner of Fox News, of course? And he said yesterday, and that is true. Bill Barr met with Rupert Murdoch, and the very next day, Shepard Smith resigned. Now, you can say that's a coincidence, but it's a little bit too much of a coincidence, if you ask me. I think there is something much bigger there, and I think that's obvious because, you know, you got Bill Barr meeting with Rupert Murdoch. Why would he meet with Rupert Murdoch? Why indeed? So he obviously had something to say to him, and chances are it involved Shepard Smith. That's the way I think about it. You may think differently. Anyway, it says, when did Bill Barr meet with Rupert Murdoch? Yesterday? And the answer to that was yes. Shepard Smith, the chief news anchor of Fox News, who has traded jabs with the network's pro-Trump pundits, abruptly announces his departure. And that, according to the New York Times, this was October 11th. Again, I'm a little bit late on this news, but yeah, there it is. And really, I hate to say this because I don't want anybody to lose their job, and I don't know that he lost his job. Maybe he just resigned, but maybe it was one of these, he's resigning before he's fired. I don't know. But it said, Mike Thomas Payne Moore said this tweet aged well. And it says, when will Fox do something about Shep's treatment of coworkers? And then he answered himself and he said, well, this tweet aged well. Yeah, it did, because it was just a little while after that Shep was gone. Anyway, yes, it's true. I do have a crystal ball, says Mike Thomas Payne Moore. And it says, hey, at Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson, you should do a Me Too show about Shep and Fox employees. You're part of the cover-up. Tick-tock, I'm laughing. You folks talk a hell of a game, yet ignore big stories in Fox. And then Mike Thomas Payne Moore says, yes, it's true. I do have a crystal ball. Because he was saying that, yeah, when are they going to do something about Shep? And then all of a sudden, Shep's gone. All right, and it says this story is developing. And yes, it is, because I have heard something about sexual assault. I don't know, because I haven't had a chance to check that out fully and vet it before, so I really shouldn't say much about it until I've done that. But there's lots of rumors out there. Sorry, I had a cat here on my screen, and then I just hit the microphone. Sorry. Okay. Let's go back. No, really, let's. Okay, now, let's, oh yes, this is the part, this is the one about Shep Smith. Shepard Smith, accused of sexual assault, resigns from Fox News. So Shepard Smith has resigned from his position at a formerly conservative network, and this was October 11th as well. So, Shepard Smith, a frequent critic of President Donald Trump, who was accused of sexual assault by a man who claimed he awoke to find Smith in the same bed with him, with his tongue down his throat, is resigning from Fox News amid a growing feud between him and Tucker Carlson. This afternoon, Smith released a statement explaining that he is resigning from Fox News, effective immediately. Smith explains that he asked Fox News to be released from his contract so he can pursue other opportunities, and Fox News first asked him to stay before releasing him. Now, you know, to me, he probably wanted to be out of his contract to pursue other opportunities because maybe he knew what was coming down the pipe. I don't know. But so Smith's departure comes months after Patrick Howley broke the accusations against Smith from a man who says he was molested by the former Fox News anchor. Howley reported, "I woke up and Shepard is on top of me like in a towel or a bathrobe, and he's got his tongue down my throat and his hands all over me, completely uninvited. I mean, I gave him no signal. There was nothing." John Doe number 1 says in an interview, excerpts of which are presented in audio form above. I had also volunteered to sleep in the spare, so I never invited myself to his bedroom, John Doe number 1 said. I pushed him off. I was like, "Dude, what are you doing?" And he's like, "What, you don't like it?" There was like this kind of like, no, and he kept going. He kept pushing, like pushing his hands on all these spots, John Doe number 1 said. The departure also comes after weeks of feuding with Carlson, who anchors Tucker Carlson Tonight, one of the network's most highly viewed programs. Carlson had bashed Smith for what he considered to be a partisan attack on President Donald Trump regarding the recently released transcript of a conversation between the American president and his Ukrainian counterpart. Smith and his guests both agreed that the conversation was an impeachable offense and should spell the demise of the Trump administration. Following an outburst from Smith the following day, Fox News reportedly threatened to suspend Smith should he publicly continue the feud with Carlson. Vanity Fair reported, excuse me, yesterday, Smith lashed back, calling Carlson repugnant for not defending Napolitano on air. Trump himself is said to, excuse me, turn off Fox at 3 p.m. when Shep Smith airs, seeking to quell the internecine strife before it is carried into a third day. Fox News CEO Suzanne Scott and President Jay Wallace communicated to Smith this morning to stop attacking Carlson. A person briefed on the conversation said, "They said if he does it again, he's off the air," the source said. It is unknown if Smith has secured an on-air position at another network or what direction his career may take after departing Fox News. What do you say he goes over and joins CNN? I mean, they're all rabid anti-Trumpers over there, and maybe he would just fit right in. Don't know, but there's a lot of stuff that's about to be released, and I think it's going to be released tomorrow, from my understanding, about CNN from Project Veritas. So Project Veritas has gone undercover, and they have a whistleblower from the inside of CNN network that is going to talk and tell a lot, apparently. And from my understanding, it's supposed to be released tomorrow, and it's going to be bad, very, very bad for CNN. That is my understanding. I guess we'll have to wait until tomorrow to see, but I'm going to be waiting for that and bring that to you as soon as it comes out, because that's big, big news. All right. So that is it for that. And let's go back and see what else I have for you. All right. Now, I can't remember what this is about, but let's watch it. Oh, yes. It says, watch, Muslim sued Britain over Islamophobia, won $1 million, and then blew himself up in the name of Allah. Can you believe that? It's a little strange, if you ask me. It says, report, former Gitmo detainee involved in deadly Mosul attack. It says, British ISIS suicide bomber was ex-Gitmo detainee who won $1 million compensation. British suicide bomber Abu Zakaria al-Britani detonated a car bomb outside an Iraqi military base southwest of Mosul 12 years after winning $1 million, $1.25 million compensation from the British government for being a victim of Islamophobia. Yeah. I'd be a little phobic of somebody that, detonated a car bomb outside of a military base as well. British taxpayer money went directly to a suicide bomber. Radical Muslim terrorists all over the world carry out terror attacks in the name of Allah. They justify their violence by quoting verses from the Quran. Politicians in the West always claim Islam is a religion of peace, despite the fact that some Muslims and even former Muslims such as Ayaan Hirsi Ali, Sandra Solomon claim that there are verses in the Quran and the Islamic scriptures that call for violence against infidels. That is often. I hate it when I'm telling you, editors, they've died, they've been taken off the earth. I don't know. Okay, Islamic scriptures call for violence against infidels, and that's often what leads to the violence and terrorism carried out by infidels against infidels by Muslims. Sometimes I have to read what isn't there just to make it make sense. Christians are the world's most persecuted religious group, according to studies. Christian and other non-Muslim minorities throughout the Muslim world are being persecuted for being non-Muslims. That is a fact. The Christian community in Iraq and Syria were completely annihilated by radical Muslims. Anyone who could not escape and refused to convert to Islam was executed. The Western world ignores the cruel persecution of Christians in the Muslim world. Where are all the human rights organizations of the UN? Where are all the human rights organizations in the West? Please pray for the Christian minorities in the Muslim world. Liberals and leftists in the West use the made-up term Islamophobia to portray anyone who criticizes Islam as a racist. Islam isn't a race. It is a religion. Not a race. So I don't know how you could be a racist by, criticizing a religion, but hey, whatever, floats their boat. They ignore the fact that Islam is an ideology that has nothing to do with race. Well, see, they picked that up as well. There is an attempt in the West to impose a Sharia blasphemy law to criminalize criticism of Islam. It started when Saudi Arabia and Muslim countries tried to pass a UN resolution to force Western states to criminalize criticism of Islam. The Parliament in Canada passed Motion M103 to condemn the so-called Islamophobia, fear of Islam, in a preparation for a blasphemy law in Canada. According to the Sharia blasphemy law, anyone who criticizes Islam or the Prophet Muhammad should be killed. Under Sharia blasphemy law in Saudi Arabia and Iran, Muslims are executed if they are accused of blasphemy. And you know what blasphemy is? If you say Jesus Christ is Lord, that's blasphemy. You will be executed. That's the truth. I mean, well, the truth is Jesus Christ is Lord, but it's the truth that they will kill you for that because, they call that blasphemy against Allah. In Pakistan, the situation is even worse. Radical Muslims use the blasphemy law to persecute the Christian minority. Is this the law that liberals in the West want to adopt? Yes, it is, believe it or not. If you think Sharia blasphemy law has no place in the West, share this post. All right, and this, along with every link that I use in this broadcast, will be available in the notes that I post to Patreon. So just wanted to remind you guys, because that is something that several of you have asked for in the past, and it doesn't take much more of my time to just, save it as a PDF and upload it. So I figured that was a reasonable request. So, all right, let's go back and let's look at, I'm just seeing here what I want to get into next because, well, let's just take it as it comes. I'm not quite sure how long I have been going at this point. Okay, President Trump rips Paul Ryan. He refused to allow subpoenas to investigate deep state corruption. Now, this is from yesterday, October 12th. President Trump spoke to Judge Jeanine Pirro on Saturday night on Justice with Judge Jeanine. President Trump ripped former House Speaker Paul Ryan. For months, there have been rumors that Paul Ryan would not allow Republican House members to subpoena deep state criminals in the FBI and Justice Department. For 2 years of the Trump administration, Paul Ryan allowed the deep state to launch attack after attack on this president while he remained silent. On Saturday, President Trump ripped the failed former speaker. President Trump, we have a great relationships with the people in the Republican Party, but they don't fight dirty. As an example, with subpoenas, you take a look at Paul Ryan when he was Speaker, he wouldn't give them. I'm not even knocking him for that. He wouldn't give them. He thought it was inappropriate. Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, all of the guys wanted Gates, all of them. Matt Gates, I could name 25 people. These are incredible people. They wanted subpoenas to investigate all of the corruption that they found. Horrible corruption. Paul Ryan would say, well, wait a minute, slow down, let's come back next week. They would come back, they wouldn't get it. She hands them out like they're cookies. I guess she's talking about the new speaker. Paul Ryan was always working for the other side. It was only thanks to Trump that we all see that today. And I'm not sure how long this is. Let me just see here. 2 minutes.
Shifty shift. He made up the story. He made up my phone call. Right. And based on that phone call, this is what this whole thing is about. It's all about a phone call. And the call is perfect. I've given that call to everybody to read it. In fact, Lindsey Graham made a statement. He said, I never knew you were so nice.
Well, but the amazing part of it is this is happening in our Congress. And, you know, it seems that when the Republicans are in office and they have the power, nothing like this ever happens. But when the Democrats get into power, it is, you know, it's scorched earth. Do the Republicans not know how to fight?
I tell you, I think they're more honest, if you want to know the truth. Right. I think that they don't stick together as well, and I think, you know, I have a 94-95% approval rating with the Republican Party. We have great relationships with the people in the Republican Party, but they don't fight dirty. As an example, with subpoenas, you take a look at Paul Ryan when he was Speaker.
Right.
He wouldn't give them.
I
I'm not even knocking him for that. He wouldn't give them. He thought it was inappropriate to give them. Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, all of the guys wanted Gates, all of them. Matt Gates, I could name 25 incredible, these are incredible people. They wanted subpoenas to investigate all of the corruption that they found. Horrible corruption. Paul Ryan would say, well, wait a minute, slow down, let's come back next week. They come back and we get, she hands them out like it's cookies.
Let me ask you a question. Why do you, I wrote an open on this. I happen to agree with you. Why do you think that is?
It's maybe a difference in philosophy. Maybe they don't do it because they think it's bad for the country. Because what she's doing is very bad for the country. They've committed a fraud. They made up a phony conversation. They got caught. And the reason they got caught is because they never thought I would release the transcript of my conversation with the president of Ukraine. They never thought, because it's something you don't want to do. We actually called up Ukraine, Mike Pompeo, called up Ukraine to get permission to do it. They thought it was an unusual request, but they said, sure, it was a very fine conversation. There was no problem. But if you want to use that, you can. They probably look at us, they say, what's going on? What is that all about?
So there you go. I thought that was a little interesting. And let's get back here and now says AG Barr, let's just stop this for now. AG Barr, this is not decay, this is organized destruction. Secularists and their allies have marshaled all the forces of mass communication, popular culture, the entertainment industry, and academia in an unremitting assault on religion and traditional values. Isn't that the truth? Now, this is only 58 seconds long, so I'm going to play it.
Many so-called progressives. Among the militant secularists are many so-called progressives. But where is the progress? We are told we are living in a post-Christian era. But what has replaced the Judeo-Christian moral system? What is it that can fill the spiritual void in the hearts of the individual person? This is organized destruction.
Yes.
Secularists and their allies have marshaled all the forces of mass communication, popular culture, the entertainment industry, and academia in an unremitting assault on religion and traditional values.
So
Among the militant secular
now it's just starting over again. I have so much respect for A.G. Barr. I really, really do. But this I thought was absolutely excellent. He is very well spoken, extremely intelligent man, and obviously he is a defender of traditional values, which is what America was based on and how we all lived. Even people that they never would go near a church, but their word was their word. Like when I grew up, when my grandfather shook somebody's hand to make a deal, his word was, you could take that to the bank. My dad was the same way. It's just the way people were back then, and the way it would be nice if they were again. Now, there's still people like that, still people that, they're as honest as the day is long, but it's not just Christian values. It's just, definitely Christian values are going away, but and the people that call themselves Christians, many aren't. You can sit in a garage, doesn't make you a car. You can sit at McDonald's, you're never going to be a hamburger. But so it's, you can call yourself anything you want. I could call myself a coffee pot if I wanted to, but it doesn't make me one. And but it's not just that. It's just the decent morals that most people had. Even if they didn't go to church, they were still pretty decent people. So, I don't know, but got a lot of respect for A.G. Barr. A lot. All right, let's see if I can get to a couple more things before. Let me see. Let's look at this. I can't remember really what this is about. I kind of know and kind of don't. Spygate update from Italy. Italian Occhionero files complaint, says he's still being spied on. Now, this is from the 11th, 2 days ago. And it says, action in Italy related to Spygate. Italian Giulio Occhionero files complaint, says deep state still spying on him. Italian Giulio, I guess that's how you pronounce his name, Occhionero, filed a complaint with local Italian authorities, and he also has provided his document to the U.S. Embassy. He also mentions that all the deep state officials in Italy were connected to Link Campus. Besides enlisting several hacking crimes against U.S. individuals and corporate entities committed by prosecutors and Polizia Postale in Rome contained in my previous expositions, those documents also expose to you how these individuals are all connected to the Link Campus University and also to Professor Joseph Mifsud, whose search is currently the focus of investigations by AG William Barr and prosecutor John Durham. In particular, former director of Polizia Postale, Roberto Di Lagami, who conducted the investigation in our case, N21245/2016 colorfully dubbed I Pyramid, and who is responsible for the attacks to the Westlands securities servers in Washington State and in West Virginia, is also reported in the narrative of the meetings between George Papadopoulos, that's right, I said Papadopoulos, and the Link campus infiltrators. Even more worrisome is the fact that the lead prosecutor in the I Pyramid investigation, another Link campus contributor, Eugenio Albamonte, went as far as giving conference talks where he clearly depicted by graphics how U.S. elections 2016 were stolen, apart from the traditional attitude of some Italian magistrates at being politicized. This reveals the fact that Albamonte was expressing his personal grave and unsubstantiated views, all happening as much as a month before the appointment of special counsel Robert Mueller. Occhianero claims that not only was he spied on by members of the U.S. and Italian deep state, but that he is still being spied on. Wasn't all the above dazzling enough to worry the Italian government and Procura di Perugia about the dangerous implications of this behavior by the aforementioned individuals per Article 244, we have recently discovered that Albemonte and CNAIPIC have conducted new, more recent, fresh attacks that were not detailed in my previous expositions to you. In particular, on Friday, October 5th, 2019, my lawyers Stefano Peretta and Roberto Botticciari entered into possession of new material deposited by Prosecutor Albemonte at Tribunal del Rosami di Roma. It consists of 4 volumes, 2 on paper and 2 on magnetic support. As you are perfectly aware, Albemonte refrained to deposit this material because he knew he committed crimes, and he only did so when we filed criminally against him with Procura di Perugia for omission de whatever reason why you are investigating him now, along with other predicates. We reported in May that the sudden firing of Italian spies was no doubt related to the Russian collusion witch hunt. Our story begins in January 2017 when Computer World, this is like a lot longer than I thought it was, and I'm really not that familiar with all this. Says the Italian spy network had a close relationship with Joseph Mifsud, the individual who set up Trump campaign volunteer George Papadopoulos in Rome and London. And it says Americans are not the only ones looking for answers. And I remember hearing about this. This from Giulio Occhianero. This was the dinner in Washington organized for Renzi on October 18th. 2016, among businesses and journos, we strangely find James Clapper and James Comey, an abnormal number of DHS, and even Centro Studi Americani, whatever that is. So this is interesting. I don't know all the ins and outs of this, to tell you the truth. Says Giulio Occhianero claimed that he and his sister Francesca Maria were set up. A piece reported by Federico Ponzi, writing in the Atlantico, notes their denials and more. Occhianero complained to the prosecutor of the Republic of Perugia and wrote to the U.S. Congress and the FBI. In fact, there were a number of contradictions and suspicious circumstances in the case. Occhianero provided the letter that he claimed he sent U.S. Congress and the FBI. And, okay, yes, I remember this now. Occhianero claims, and it's reported that, now this is interesting because, see, he was trying to get this to the U.S. Congress and the FBI, but was thwarted, and this is what he claims. Members of Italian intelligence were approached by Hillary Clinton, the Obama administration, and the deep state in order to frame Trump by planting evidence on American servers to force Trump to step down from office. In other words, members of Italian intelligence found a target in Occhianero, a Republican sympathizer who had 2 servers for his company, Westland Securities, located in America. One was in Washington State and the other in West Virginia. The plan was for Italian intelligence to hack into these servers, plant classified emails from Hillary's servers inside these servers on American soil, and then alert the FBI. The FBI would then raid these locations, discover these emails, investigate, link these servers to Trump, and then force Trump to resign. Occhianero believes that Obama and the former leader of Italy, Matteo Renzi, worked together on this plan, and he provides reports of their meetings in Italy before the 2016 election and in early 2017. And it says why Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi is dining with Obama. Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi is joining Barack Obama for the last formal dinner of his presidency. Why? That's a good question. Barack Obama arrives in Milan for climate speech, meeting with former Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi. Former President Barack Obama touched down in Milan, Italy on Monday, kicking off a 2-day trip in which he will meet with former Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi and also discuss climate change at a conference. Yeah, I'm sure he's real concerned about climate change. Occhionaro's Twitter account has numerous tweets related to the subject, including including the fact that Robert Mueller from the Mueller report awarded one of the top spies in Italy the FBI Medal of Honor. He also tweeted this of a meeting Renzi had in the U.S. with James Comey, Jim Clapper, and Eric Ciaramella. This was the dinner in Washington organized for Renzi on October 18th. So this guy has a lot of information, and I do remember hearing about that now, where he had tried to get that information to the FBI and, the Congress, but they weren't interested because he had information about how Donald Trump was set up. And of course, Congress would not want that information because most of them were involved in setting him up. So this will be on the links as well that I provide, and I post to Patreon. So if you want to look at this more in depth, I invite you to do so. Now let's go back here, and now this is very, very interesting, and it is fantastically good news. We've got the report from Project Veritas coming out hopefully tomorrow. I know tomorrow is Columbus Day in the States, and it's Thanksgiving here. But I guess, they said that they would be releasing it tomorrow, so I would assume that they mean Monday. So that's good. But they've also got this happening, and Marie Bartiromo, DOJ Inspector General report due out Friday, this coming Friday. Yeah, the 18th of October. Fire in the hole. It's coming. So, it covers more than just FISA abuse. And it says Fox Business anchor Maria Bartiromo says her sources are telling her an extensive report by Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz on alleged Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act abuses by the Justice Department and the FBI will be released by the end of the week. Bartiromo, who is the first journalist to report an exact release date, discussed what she had learned on the Fox News show Sunday Morning Futures with two Republican congressmen who deduced former high-ranking government officials are bracing for a scathing critique. I think it's going to be more than a scathing critique. I think there is going to be recommendations for criminal action. That's what I believe. I've been wrong before. I'll probably be wrong again, but I'm quite certain of this. Bartiromo, who is the first journalist to report an exact release date, discussed what she had learned on her Fox News show, Sunday Morning Futures, with two Republican congressmen who deduced former high-ranking government officials are bracing for a scathing critique. I'm hearing the IG report will be out this coming Friday, October 18th, and my sources say it's as thick as a telephone book, Bartiromo said, adding that it covers more than just FISA abuse. It's been exactly 1 month since Horowitz announced the completion of the investigation by his team, who pored over more than 1 million records and conducted 100+ interviews. The Inspector General gave a draft to the Justice Department and FBI for a classification review. Upon the completion of that process, the report will first be delivered to the Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman, Lindsey Graham, who has pledged to do a deep dive of his own into FISA that will run concurrently with the U.S. Attorney John Durham's review of the early stages of the Russia investigation. The South Carolina Republican said his number one goal is to have as much of the report declassified as possible. Republicans, well, and that's in everybody's best interest. I mean, everybody that's on the above board, that's in their best interest, because it will, the more that's declassified, the more information we're going to know about the crimes and misdemeanors of the opposite side. So, Republicans allege top Justice Department and FBI officials misled the FISA court by using an unverified dossier compiled by British ex-spy Christopher Steele to obtain warrants to electronically monitor one-time Trump campaign advisor Carter Page in an attempt to dig up damaging information about Trump. Spurred in part by GOP investigations and the declassification of hundreds of pages of FISA documents related to Page in July 2018, Republicans argue the dossier's Democratic benefactors, Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign and the Democratic National Committee, and its author's bias against President Trump were not made clear in the FISA application. Democrats have dismissed the allegations of wrongdoing by the Justice Department and the FBI during the Trump-Russia investigation and are concerned that Durham's review, being overseen by Attorney General William Barr, may be an effort to discredit the work of Special Counsel Robert Mueller. Oh, it's already discredited. Really. I mean, could it be discredited any further? Neither of Bartiromo's guests, Sunday Representative Doug Collins of Georgia and Mark Meadows of North Carolina, appeared to have any insider knowledge of the contents of the FISA report, but they offered deductions of what to expect. Collins, the top Republican on the House Judiciary Committee, surmised that former CIA Director John Brennan and former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe have been ramping up an I'm innocent defense during recent appearances on MSNBC and CNN respectively, lumping in comments by former FBI Director James Comey. Collins concluded the report is not going to be very good for them. No, I don't imagine it will be. Comey, who was fired by Trump in May 2017, has been very critical of the president since he signed and approved 3 of the 4 FISA warrant applications and renewals starting in October 2016, and some Republicans speculate he will be charged for misleading the court's judges. Horowitz has harshly criticized Comey in 2 prior high-profile investigations and even sent a criminal referral to the Justice Department over Comey's memos, although the Justice Department declined to prosecute. Well, naturally. Comey said last month he is highly confident he will not be indicted. Meadows predicted Horowitz's report will be a scathing rebuke of the FBI based on documents he provided to the Inspector General and said he sees some areas that warrant criminal referrals to Barr. At a minimum, the North Carolina Republican said he expects there will be strong recommendation to change FISA application protocols. U.S. District Judge John Bates, who was a presiding judge of the FISA court from 2009 to 2013, said recently he expects the report from Horowitz to be very fair and pretty lengthy. So that is good news, and that is supposedly coming out this Friday. So lots happening this week, and that is good. And let me see here if there's anything else I want to cover. Oh, yes, this is very interesting, if you ask me, which you didn't, but sort of you did, because you're sitting here listening to me. So let me show you this, if you haven't heard already. Look at this. Criminal Facebook deletes Donald Trump is our president Facebook fan page with 3,276,000 fans. Now, why on earth would they do that? A fan page for the President of the United States, the duly elected President of the United States. Criminal Facebook strikes again. The Facebook officials go sit in front of Congress and lie about censorship. Then they go back to their offices and continue to eliminate conservative content. Facebook eliminated the Donald Trump is our president Facebook fan page. And this is what you get now. If you go look for that, it says your page has been unpublished. It looks like recent activity on your page doesn't follow the Facebook page policies regarding impersonation and pretending to be an individual or business. Visit the Help Center for more info on why pages may be unpublished and tips for managing your page. If you think we made a mistake, you can appeal and we'll take another look. Yeah, right. Yeah, like the appeal really works. Now, this was a page that it wasn't claiming to be Donald Trump. It was a Donald Trump is our president Facebook fan page. It's a fan page for Donald Trump. So how could this be possible that they're impersonating or pretending to be an individual or business? No, that's all a bunch of bunkum, whatever you want to call it. Shite. Horse manure. Poo-poo, crap, anything you want to call it. Donald Trump, it should be is our president. I'm telling you, no editors anymore, anywhere. With 3,276,000 fans, which we paid Facebook around $100,000 to build. Isn't that interesting? Using page-like ads was removed yesterday. Please help me spread the word so we can help Facebook know and fix what I am sure is an honest mistake. Yeah, I'm sure it's an honest mistake, right? Yeah, let's go with that. I have made my identity perfectly clear. I am in no way associated with President Donald J. Trump, nor have I ever claimed to be. This is a fan page. We made that abundantly clear in many places on the page. On top of that, Facebook approved the name change back in 2016. So why now, all of a sudden, has my life's work been unpublished? I'm sure this is a mistake, but please help me alert Facebook so we can get this cleared up. Thank you, Mark Sidney. This will continue until conservative leaders have enough courage to fight the dragons. We pray for that day to come. And I'm sorry this person, is on the positive side of, I'm sure it's an honest mistake. Well, I'm sure it's not an honest mistake. How do you like that? I'm pretty sure it's not. Why? Because they're doing it to everyone, vindictively. Taking down their pages. Remember what they did to Diamond and Silk? I mean, they finally got their page back, I believe, but they were horribly treated. And for what? I guess, it's against the law now to hold any conservative views, or I guess more precisely, it's against the law to hold any views that they don't like. This is absolutely unforgivable. Really, it is. Like, in this person, $100,000 to build with ads and all that stuff. Probably, it's not easy to get 3 million fans, 3,276,000 fans. Not easy at all. So, yeah, unbelievable. Really. All right, now let's go back here. I'm going probably way over, but I did want to cover at least this stuff right here. And this, I'm sure you guys have already, this is old, and I've been meaning to bring it now for I don't know how long, and it keeps getting pushed back and pushed back. But if you are not aware of this, I want to make you aware of it. This is from October 4th, so that tells you it's like 9 days old. But breaking, Pelosi's son now involved in Ukraine scandal, Democrat Party in shambles, and yes, it is. But Hunter Biden, move over. Now Nancy Pelosi's son may be looking to take center stage with the Ukraine controversy. Paul Pelosi Jr. spent time in Ukraine in 2017. Boom, Nancy Pelosi's son, Paul Pelosi Jr., who went to Ukraine in 2017, was a board member of Viscoil and executive at its related company, NRG Lab, which did energy business in Ukraine. And Nancy Pelosi appeared in a promotional video for the company. So, yeah. And this, it says, what in the hell? Both Biden and Pelosi's son have strong ties to Ukraine. Who goes to Ukraine? I'm sure most people reading this have sent their sons to, reading this says, I'm sure most people reading this have sent their sons to Ukraine at some point. I'm probably just being paranoid. Yeah, right. Yeah, I think, yeah, we've all been to Ukraine. I haven't. So yeah, isn't that interesting? I'm not gonna get into that too much further until we find out more information about that, but that's a fact. That is a fact. So wanted to make sure if there are any of you out there that have not heard that you do hear it. And this is the last thing, I do believe, for tonight. And it's this. We've already hit on this before, but it's AG Barr visits Rupert Murdoch, Fox News CEO. Then Shepard Smith resigns. Is this connected? Well, I'd say there's probably a very safe bet that it is, like I said before. I think that it would be foolish of us to think that it isn't at this point, but time will tell. Now, that is it for tonight, and I'm not going to do another video, even though I have another one prepared to do. I have been really struggling with my voice for the last couple days, so I'm going to rest my voice, and hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to bring you 2 videos, because I do have one prepared that I could record right now, but I don't think my voice is going to hold out for it. And then I'll be bringing you the normal news as well. So there you go. And I thank you guys for listening so much. I appreciate you guys. I absolutely love the comments that you leave. Some of them are so, I don't know, there's sometimes nights that I read through the comments and like I'm dead tired by the time I go through everything in my day and do everything that needs to be done and then research everything, and then by the time I record and everything, I'm pretty done in. So I'm just like lying there, and I take my laptop to bed, and I'm like looking through all the comments and everything. And some nights I just smile, like I'm tired, and I just smile and smile because I think I love these people. I really do. Like I don't know, I enjoy you guys. Like I enjoy the comments that you leave and how nice you are to one another. And some of you are just hysterical. You know who you are, JJ Dillon. Anyway, that's it for tonight. So stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and keep seeking truth, because deception bites. And tomorrow is Thanksgiving in Canada. So happy Thanksgiving to any Canadians listening, and happy Thanksgiving in advance to you Americans. I guess it's about a month and a half away for you guys. And I do miss having Thanksgiving in November, where it should be. I feel like it should be then, because I loved the American Thanksgiving, and I miss it terribly. But anyway, now is a good time during this season to be thankful for the things that we have. There's always things that we can look at and think, I need this, I need that. But when you take a good look at the things that you have and what you've been given, and are grateful for the things you have, it really brings a sense of peace and belonging to your world. It really does. So anyway, you guys have a great night, and I hope I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be here. I hope you are too. Good night.